In most sports, a whistle means the clock pauses, but in a professional football match, the 90-minute game clock starts, and it never stops for any reason. The core objective is simple. Two teams, each with 11 players, try to move a ball down the pitch and into their opponent's goal using their feet, chest, or head. Absolutely no hands or arms allowed. If a player touches the ball with their arm, the referee calls a foul, known as a handball. This rule applies even if it seems accidental. If a player's arm is in an unnatural position and blocks the ball, the other team gets a free kick. Because referees are so strict about this, defenders often run in a very specific, almost awkward way. When guarding their own goal, they tuck their arms firmly behind their backs to guarantee they don't accidentally brush the ball. This diagram shows the layout of a standard pitch. The large rectangle surrounding the goal is the 18-yard penalty box. In this space, the goalkeeper is the only player allowed to catch, punch, or block the ball with their hands. However, the exact moment the goalie steps outside those lines, they are restricted to the same rules as everyone else. Restricting the use of hands completely changes how players move. Every leap, sprint, and defensive block is recalibrated, dictating exactly where and how players fight for control of the ball. If you've ever played a multiplayer video game, you probably know about spawn camping, when a player just waits right next to the enemy base for an easy point. Football prevents this through the offside rule. Looking at this overhead view, we can map out how this works. Here is an attacker, the ball, the final defender, who is usually the goalkeeper, and the second to last defender. To stay onside, the attacker cannot be closer to the goal than both the ball and that second to last defender. The referee doesn't care where the attacker ends up when they catch the ball. The rule is strictly judged at the exact millisecond their teammate makes the pass. If the attacker is past that horizontal line when the ball leaves their teammate's foot, the whistle blows and they lose possession. Defensive players actually use this rule as a weapon. If they see an opponent winding up to make a long pass, the defensive line will step forward together at the very last second. This leaves the sprinting attacker stranded behind the line, springing an offside trap. Because of this rule, attackers have to time their sprints perfectly, constantly checking their shoulders to make sure they are level with the defense. This turns a simple running game into a high-speed, synchronized battle of timing. Football is a physical game where players slide and fight for space. But if a player trips an opponent or slides in recklessly and misses the ball completely, the referee steps in to call a foul. Referees don't blow the whistle for every single foul. If an attacker gets tripped up that stumbles forward and keeps control of the ball with a clear path toward the goal, the referee will point their arms forward and play the advantage role. This allows the offensive team to continue a promising move without interruption. When a tackle is particularly dangerous, the referee pulls out a card. A yellow card is a strict warning. If a player gets 2 yellow cards or commits a violent foul, they receive a red card and are immediately ejected from the match. Their team cannot substitute a replacement, forcing them to play the rest of the game a man down. As this diagram shows, if a defending player commits a foul anywhere inside their own 18-yard box, the attacking team is awarded a penalty kick. This places a single kicker exactly 12 yards out, face-to-face with the goalkeeper. Playing the advantage and threatening harsh penalties near the goal creates a system that actively rewards teams for fighting through contact and maintaining their momentum. When the ball rolls out of bounds along the long edges of the pitch, the game restarts with a throw-in. The player throwing the ball has to keep both feet firmly planted on the ground and throw the ball directly over their head. If the ball goes over the goal line at the far ends of the pitch and an attacking player knocked it out, the defending team gets a goal kick. The goalkeeper simply places the ball in the small box near the net and kicks it out to restart play. But if a defending player touches the ball last before it crosses that same end line, the attacking team gets a corner pick. This lets an attacker place the ball by the nearest corner flag and swing the ball directly into the penalty box, surrounded by their teammates. These boundary mechanics transform an out-of-bounds ball into a structured tactical reset, providing the team in possession a direct opportunity to organize an attack and find the net. We've covered fouls, injuries, and the ball constantly rolling out of bounds. Through all of those pauses, the main match clock has kept ticking. Referees also use an instant replay system called VAR, the video assistant referee. A team of officials watches multiple camera angles to double-check goals or penalty calls. Reviewing those tight calls drains even more minutes off the running clock. Looking at this timeline graphic, we can see how time is managed. The referee keeps track of every minute lost to injuries, fouls, and video reviews, represented by these red blocks. At the end of the standard 45-minute half, the referee gathers those blocks and appends them to the very end of the half as stoppage time. Because the clock doesn't freeze and the amount of stoppage time added is ultimately up to the referee's count, players never know the exact second the match will end. They have to keep pushing until they hear the final whistle. Now that you understand the mechanics on the pitch, it's time to look at what these teams are actually fighting for. In our next video, we'll break down the major trophies and tournaments in world football, so be sure to subscribe and we'll see you there.